How does the anxious preoccupied self-sabotage in a relationship? Leslie Wells, connection coach here. I help individuals find deeper, better connections in their romantic relationships by looking at their attachment style. So I'm a hot mess right now. I've been out walking in the woods. Both of my boys have soccer. So I have all of this downtime. So I figured after my walk, why not make a TikTok? So here we go. First of all, it's important to know that a lot of times, a lot of the bigger attachment style issues may not show up at the beginning of a relationship. It can be 5, 6, 7 years in, or maybe as early as 3, 4 years in. But these things may not always come out at the beginning because they typically start to really come out as the relationship gets more intimate and there's more chance for vulnerability and you've been along in the relationship. So it doesn't necessarily have to be that from the onset of the relationship these behaviors come out, but they can come out later in the relationship at any point, really. So one of the ways that the anxious preoccupied will a lot of times sabotage relationship is by being extremely clingy and needy. They need lots and lots of constant reassurance, validation, and attention. They can tend to be possessive and very jealous and really don't want their partner to have a lot of independence or time away from them. They very much want to be with their partner all the time. And so a lot of times their partner will begin to feel suffocated and feel like they're losing their independence within the relationship. Because they also have a deep-rooted fear of abandonment and rejection, a lot of times they are extremely hyper-vigilant to their partner. So they overanalyze everything, look for deeper meaning in it, and they're constantly like hyper-vigilant as far as looking at differences and changes and shifts in tone, behavior, schedules. They're just always got their partner under a microscope. And of course, if you're the person under the microscope, then you can start to feel like you're not trusted. You can start to feel like you're being treated like a child and constantly watched. It's very debilitating and unhealthy in a relationship. One of the other things a lot of times an anxious preoccupied individual will do to self-sabotage relationship is create fights or create drama. I am a securely attached now, but was fearful, avoidant, leaning, anxious, and this is one of the things that I would do often too. So because the individual, whenever maybe they're feeling distant or they're feeling a shift in their partner and they're being hyper vigilant and this makes them uncomfortable, they may start little fights. And for me, that would usually be something around all of a sudden being dissatisfied with the house and the clutter everywhere, or why is no one picking up after themselves? And so these are little fights that I would start with my partner. And really, whenever you start to examine the underlying behavior, the reason an anxiously attached person does this is because they are looking for connection. They want to close that distance, and they really are looking for reassurance and validation. They do not know how to ask directly and clearly and in a good, healthy way. And so they start these fights and create drama to try to get reassurance and validation about the relationship from their partner. Another way a lot of times they will self-sabotage is by being emotionally unavailable. Because they are afraid of being rejected, it is very difficult for them to be fully vulnerable a lot of the time. They're afraid if they are seen at their core, then perhaps they may be abandoned, and that is their biggest fear. So some people who are anxious preoccupied may struggle with being really vulnerable and actually really letting their partner see them. They're emotionally unavailable. They also tend to self-abandon because their biggest fear is being alone and they really want to be in a relationship, and their biggest fear is their partner leaving. They will a lot of times abandon their own needs just to keep the relationship stable or keep the relationship intact. So they won't bring up their own needs, their own expectations. They will completely self-abandon. Even during a time of conflict, they will go into a fawn response rather than really work to actually make sure the problem is resolved so that the relationship is truly healthy and everyone's needs are being met. So if they're self-abandoning and they're not showing up for their own needs and their own expectations, then you really don't have a healthy, happy, secure relationship. So the experience for a partner of an anxiously attached individual who is using these self-sabotaging mechanisms is they often feel like they're losing their independence. They don't get any time alone. They're looked at under a microscope. So they feel suffocated. They are emotionally exhausted from constantly having to provide reassurance and validation. They don't feel like they get any space. And so these are really negative feelings for their partner. And so if you feel like you are someone who displays any of these things, or you notice yourself doing some of these behaviors, or maybe your partner does, and these are things that you want to work with, this is what I coach my clients for. This is what we do, is we look at these behaviors and we figure out how we're going to get better at them. Or if we have a partner, we figure out how we can show it better for our partner. So all of my information is in the bio. If you have any questions, reach out. If you have any comments about this or anything you want to learn more about, just put it in the comments.